Hey folks, welcome back to another video series that we're doing trying to help our folks and educate in regards to a variety of different topics that we're hearing about on a regular basis. One of the bigger topics that we hear about routinely is about healthcare and how can they improve their situation, how can they cut the cost to what healthcare is really, it's really going against their bottom line. Dad, share a few things of what we've been hearing about healthcare.
You know, it's one of the bigger concerns that we're hearing nowadays. A lot of folks, and maybe it's just the grain of America, if you will, that all these baby boomers moving into retirement, and they still got moms and dads that are alive, and their mom and dad are starting to have significant health problems, and they're involved in some fashion of trying to help with their care. And they just realize that, gosh, there's some things that they can't always be there, they can't always take care of them. And the cost is just going up and up, and they see that, so that concern is becoming real to them. It's again, we've people have grown old and for history, but when it's happening to you and you see it with your own mom and dad, it just really makes a big difference. And the concern there is, well, how do we pay for it? I mean, are we going to exhaust all of mom and dad's money? And then are we as a family? I've got two brothers. We're dealing with my mother. We lost my dad a couple years ago to cancer. But now we're dealing with my mother, and she has dementia. And so do we divvy into our own accounts money that we've set aside for our retirement, for our grandkids' college expenses and those types of things? And do we somehow help mom through this, because it's getting extremely expensive? Do we buy long-term care insurance? What is the answer? Well, fortunately, the industry, the financial services industry, has been thinking about this for a long time too. And I get a lot of questions about, is there anything I can do besides buying long-term care insurance? Do you get some of them same questions?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's really the three major ways that people have covered for long-term care in the past have been self-insurance. You just pay for it yourself. Long-term care insurance, like Dad's referring to, and then utilizing some form of leveraged insurance to pay for long-term care insurance or long-term care costs. So the one Dad's referring to talk about long-term care insurance, it provides the benefit that people need. You know, people need some type of coverage, and so it provides that coverage that they need. The distasteful part that a lot of my clients have been sharing with me is the possibility of paying for something that you're not going to ever get any value out of. So there's the thought that I pay $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 a year for a long-term care coverage that I may never use. I may end up just dying in my sleep and never having used the value of something that I paid for 20 years. I mean, you start going out 20 years at $3,000 a shot.
Starts adding up.
It starts really adding up. And so people are looking for alternative ways of doing that. And that's kind of where a lot of our clients have experienced this leveraged long-term care approach.
They're starting to hear it on the news even.
Yep.
You know, on different publications and on the radio, people are talking about that. Just some way that you can take some of your assets, a small portion of your assets, and have it in an account that can grow, at least stay ahead of taxes and inflation, grow at a reasonable rate of return, maybe even get a part of the market in good years, but maybe most importantly, that money can be leveraged 2, 3, 4 times over, where they can cover long-term care needs just in case it happens to them. And if they don't, it passes on to their family. It's theirs to use for their own retirement income needs. So it's a great idea.
I think what people they've heard the concept of this Medicaid spend down, so they're afraid that they're going to have to spend everything that they've accumulated, and it's all going to be taken away from them. Their spouses and their family won't receive anything. This whole idea of leveraged long-term care really puts into a perspective of what kind of money are we using. So one of the benefits of this leveraged care is actually that we get some availability to cover some of the expenses of long-term care on a tax-free basis.
Correct. Yeah.
Where a lot of people, the money that they've saved for retirement, just the nature of the way that we were allowed to save for the majority of our lives has been putting money into qualified plans, which means when we pull the money out for our care, if we were actually forced to spend down those IRAs, we'd actually have to pay taxes on that money to provide care for ourselves. This whole concept of leveraging your money for long-term care allows us to have the ability to take that money out on a tax-free nature, and then it doesn't harm our IRAs anywhere near to the extent it would if we were forced to take it out of there. So it does provide a pretty significant benefit.
And I like the flexibility of it. Again, for folks that don't have assets that they can leverage, they may be forced to have to buy some form of long-term care insurance. But as DJ was just saying a moment ago, we've seen those premiums escalate. They've been going up as the cost of health care goes up, just like regular health insurance does. So for most of our clients that's got some money set aside for retirement in IRAs or 401ks or investments, there's usually a better route. This whole idea of leveraging it gives us some flexibility. So folks, if you haven't heard about this concept, how to leverage some of your assets to avoid having to pay that high escalating cost of long-term care insurance, give us a call here at Retirement Resources. We'd love to sit down with you and show you some of the things that our clients have been doing now for several years.